Hey everyone, I'm Julie Lessman, and welcome to Tony Shiloh's Wednesday Excerpts. Today I'm going to read an excerpt from my debut novel, A Passion Most Pure. I'm pretty excited about this because it's on sale for 99 cents right now, e-sale. So I thought this would be a good opportunity to expose you to it a little bit. I want to tell you that it was listed as one of the 10 best historical romance novels according to Publishers Weekly article by New York Times bestselling author Beverly Jenkins. Plus, it won American Christian Fiction Writers' Debut Book of the Year in 2009. So it's not a dog, I promise. Anyway, also, if you like it and you download it for 99 cents, it's going to be the book discussed on Misty's Book Nook online book club, which is a Facebook page, December 1 through 15. So I hope you consider joining that because I'm giving away lots of prizes, including an Amazon gift card. Okay? Anyway, ready to dive into this World War I Irish family saga where the accent mark is on passion, both romantically and spiritually, and of course, purity, which is something that is so needed in our world today, right? Okay, here we go. In this scene, the hero, who has been trifling with two sisters, is forced to apologize to both by their father. But when he confronts the sister he truly loves, he's in for a rude awakening. Colin slumped at the table, staring at the palm of his hand as he absently rubbed it with his thumb. You can't hate me, you know. It's against your religion. He was teasing, but she didn't seem to care. Her head snapped up and her eyes singed. His heart started pounding and his slow smile re-engaged. She was like a chameleon, calm and placid one minute, all fire and flash in the next, and it never failed to rouse him. Get it over with, Colin. Father said you wanted to speak with me, so do it. She was clearly not happy with him, and somehow it turned his smile into a grin. He tried to temper it a bit, but it was so blasted hard with her looking like that. A little girl with pouting green eyes and wild auburn hair tumbling her shoulders. Holy saints above, she was beautiful. Why hadn't he realized before he had courted Cherry and set things in motion that now were too difficult to change? Things could have been so different, he thought, and then he frowned. No, they would have never been different, he realized. Something much bigger than an engagement to Charity still stood in the way. He cleared his throat and shifted. I owe you an apology, Faith. I should have never taken advantage of you like I did. I regret it, I really do. Not just because of what it's done to you, but what it's done to Charity. He looked away, and to me. He closed his eyes, leaned back, and massaged his forehead with his fingers. I saw myself with Charity, Faith. I really did. I thought we'd marry, have lots of kids, and grow old together. But that day in the park, something happened between you and me, something strong, and it scared me. I hated it because it made me feel vulnerable. But I couldn't stop thinking about it either, about you. And believe me, I tried. Then I thought, well, once Charity and I are married, I'll get over it. She watched him now with eyes rimmed raw, hands shaking as she picked at her nails. I was pretty slow on the uptake, I guess. It wasn't until the night on the swing that I realized I was falling in love with you. He heard her sharp intake of breath as her eyes began to well, and he reached across the table to take her hand in his. I love you, Faith. Marry me. She jerked her hand from his and stood, quivering as she caved against a chair. I can't marry you, Colin. He leaned forward. I know you love me. Can you deny it? She didn't speak, and he jumped up and rounded the table, gripping her arms to lift her to her feet. She stared at him through a mist of tears. Let me go. You're hurting my arm. Tell me you don't love me. I don't love you. You're lying, Faith. I would have thought better of you than that. Well, don't, she screamed. I'm not better than that. You've said your apologies, Colin. Now let me go. She tried to turn away. He jerked her back. I know you love me. Don't you think I can feel it every time I touch you? He pulled her to him, and she cried out before his lips silenced hers with a savage kiss. She struggled to pull free, but he only held her tighter, the blood pounding in his brain. His mouth was everywhere, her throat, her earlobes, her lips, and he could feel the heat coming in waves as she melted against him. She was quivering when he finally let her go. You love me, Faith, he said quietly. You know that, and I know that, and nothing can ever change that fact. Not Charity, not you, and not your God. A sob escaped her lips as she collapsed into the chair, all fight suddenly gone. "I know," she whispered. "Oh, Colin, if you could only tell me what I need to hear." He was tempted to lie, to tell her anything to keep her. He'd done it once, managed to convince her family he was something he wasn't. He could do it again. The back of his neck swarmed with the frustration, but somehow he knew, no matter how convincing the lie, somehow that God of hers would trip him up, and then he'd lose her forever. I can't right now," he said, mouth dry. "But maybe you'll save my soul. Who knows?" His attempt to be light fell flat, and inwardly he cursed at how hollow it must have sounded. "What does it matter anyway? I won't stand in your way if you want to believe in your God. Please, Faith, just say yes." He was speaking too fast, as if he were desperate, and he was. The only woman he ever really wanted would not have him, and it was about to crush him. Never in his life had he ever begged a woman for anything. She started to cry, and he knew before she spoke what her answer would be. His hands dropped to his sides. "That's it, then? God wins and I lose? Well, I'm glad we settled that. It's been eating at me for a long time." "Colin, please." "Please what? Go away so you don't have to face the fact you're in love with me?" He slammed the chair against the table. "It wouldn't work. It has to be right. No, I don't want to hear it. I'm sick to death of hearing it. I'm in the real world, and you're out there somewhere in a world I don't understand." For a split second he stared past her before his eyes shifted back, finally resigned. "It's good for me to go away. You don't have to worry anymore, Faith. I don't need a ton of bricks to fall on me to know it's time to move on." He squeezed his eyes shut and pinched the back of his neck. "I suppose marriage needs more than passion anyway, doesn't it? It helps if you're on the same wavelength, at least, like Charity and me." His voice sounded so strange to his own ears, a low monotone, almost stream of consciousness. He heard her move toward him. "You know, Colin, someday we'll be friends, good friends." His eyes flew open, and he didn't blink once. "I don't want to be your friend, Faith. I want to be your husband and your lover." A dark blush invaded her cheeks. She lifted her chin. "Me too, Colin, more than anything." He heaved the chair against the table again. "That's a lie. But it doesn't matter now because I finally get it. I don't understand it, mind you, but it's finally sinking in. Not that what we have between us isn't strong and real. No, this thing is so real it makes us crazy every time we're even near each other. It's what most people dream about, and we have it. But you'd rather turn your back on something so real for something that's only real in your own mind." "It's not just real in my mind, Colin. God is real whether you believe it or not." "Yeah? Well, you can't prove it by me." "Colin, please, don't do this. You can't possibly know how sorry I am." "Yes, I can, Faith." He started to leave. "Colin." He stopped, hands splayed against the door. "For what it's worth, I'll never stop praying for you." He turned, all anger siphoning out. "Yeah, you do that." He took a deep breath and forced a faint smile. "Well then, I guess that's that. Man goes to war, ex-fiancé waits for him, and sister moves on with her life. Here's to a happy ending." Tears streaked her cheeks. "I hope so, Colin," she whispered. "Somewhere in Mrs. Gerson's Bible it says, 'All things work together for good for those who love God.' I'd like to think that's assurance of a happy ending." As he stared at her now, he almost envied what she had. Almost. He hung his head, then glanced up, lips curved in a tired smile. "Well, one thing's for sure. If I'm going to be target practice for some Germans, I'd much rather have you praying for me than against me." "Count on it," she said, wiping the wetness from her face. He studied her, completely certain she meant it. "Thanks, little bit." And without another word, he turned and left, causing the door to creak to an eerie stillness. A big thank you to Tony Shiloh for allowing me to participate in her Wednesday excerpts. Leave a comment below and you're automatically entered for a choice to win one of my indie ebooks. Okay? Thank you and God bless.